So in this segment, we're going to be talking about the government saber-rattling again. This is hot off the press. Hopefully, I'll be able to get this one out today. The article's from Tuesday, the 10th of May, written at 8 a.m. British summertime from Jessica Elgott. And it's a good article from her. The government going back to saber-rattling once again. They backed out of it and now they're back in it, and I think Liz is doing this because of her leadership ambitions. Jessica Elgott, credit to her, mentions this in the article as well, raises suspicions. So Liz Truss is reportedly preparing draft legislation that would unilaterally scrap parts of the Northern Ireland Protocol, removing the need for the checks on goods between GB and Northern Ireland. Now, she is the Brexit minister. I don't know if she would be the one to have the powers to stop the checks, or would it give it to Brandon Lewis, who is the Minister for Northern Ireland. So that would be quite interesting. No bill is expected to be announced in the Queen's speech on Tuesday, but the Foreign Secretary is reported to have asked officials to prepare the draft, which would put the UK in breach of its treaty obligations. There are also talks in the Queen's speech about scrapping some aspects of the Human Rights Bill, which would potentially violate the Good Friday Agreement. So buckle up for that one. Subscribe for that. As well as scrapping the checks, the draft legislation will also take away the powers of the European Court of Justice and remove all requirements of Irish businesses to follow EU regulations. This is pure red meat to the base and the Tory backbenchers. So that tells me she thinks a leadership election is close. A government source confirms Truss intends to move unilaterally to prepare to change parts of the protocol, but denied the UK government has given up on negotiations. So there's two different ways to see this, right? And the first way, which I think is the thing that is happening, is this is part of Liz Truss's leadership bid, that she doesn't intend to use these powers, but she intends to use this as red meat to the base in order to appeal to people like Brexit hardman Steve Baker, amongst other people. The other possibility is she's doing this to try and force concessions out of the EU, which won't work. You know, they tried this with the Internal Market Bill. Frost continuously tried to do this. The Telegraph put out an article, I need to cover it at some point, which is about, they criticised Liz Truss for her warm words, because she was a lot more nicer to people than Lord Frost was. She was less up people's noses and things like that, which, she didn't achieve a lot with it, but it did buy her some goodwill, especially compared to her predecessor, which is a great word, predecessor. But the possibilities are, it's either a leadership bid, which I think it is, or it's just more saber-rattling to get concessions, which she won't get. The EU Commission, the current one, have made it very clear they don't have a mandate to renegotiate the protocol. She talks about, the election results in Northern Ireland, where the majority of MLAs are actually for or tolerant of the Northern Ireland Protocol. So they're going against democracy here as well. Senior UK sources emphasised that stability in Northern Ireland was at stake with the glacial pace of talks. Well, the thing is, right, there's a reason why the talks have been slow, is because we can't be trusted. This is in a separate article I'm going to talk about, but this is from Tony Connolly, which he talks about. This is a recent article. According to an agreement by both sides in December 2020, those companies who operate on both sides of the Irish Sea, for example Tesco's, and who shipped not at-risk goods from GB to NI. So it would be like, because I don't think there is a Tesco's in Ireland, right? As far as I'm aware, I'm not 100% sure on that one, but there are certain shops that exist in Northern Ireland but don't exist in Ireland, right? So the idea is those companies could be classed as trusted traders, because you can't sell Tesco own brand in Northern Ireland, in Ireland, if there's no Tesco's there. Does that make sense? And repackaging it wouldn't make sense economically. So these are for companies who shipped not at-risk goods from GB to NI, would be facilitated by a trader scheme, UKTS, and called Trusted Traders. Now this failed in the end, and Frost blamed the EU for not accepting this, but it's very clear why the EU didn't accept this. So it's from December 2020, there was an agreement. However, in June 2021, which is about 6 months later, the UK unilaterally extended this scheme to companies that were only established in GB and changed various criteria so that more companies could avail of use the scheme than originally agreed. And that's why the talks collapsed, because the UK unilaterally changed bits of the Trusted Trader scheme. So why the hell, of course, talks are going very slow. When you do stuff like this, no one's going to trust you. It's a joke. Cabinet ministers, including Rishi Sunak and Gove, were said to be uneasy about the high stakes involved in Truss's strategy. So by the looks of it, it looks like Sunak and Gove are against this, and I think some of the other ministers would be for this. It's very much a split in the cabinet, which is something I'll talk about at a separate time. And the possibility of a trade war with the EU as the UK stands on the brink of a potential recession. It looks like we're heading towards a recession, and the people who would face the most damage from this action will be Michael Gove. Not Michael Gove, it would be Sunak, because this would further spiral the cost of living. It won't affect our imports as such unless we get sanctioned, heavily sanctioned. But it will it will kill our exports, essentially. This will kill our exports, and if the EU place sanctions on us, it will kill our imports. But that's only if they do that. Cabinet sources suggested, this is the key here for me, and this is why I actually quite like this article, suggested Truss's manoeuvres were part of leadership feather fluttering, hinting they were designed to put her at odds with Sunak in the minds of Conservative backbenchers. She's trying to put out the idea that, look, I'm ready to go. Article 16, I'm here, I'm here and there, I'm going to press the button. But Sunak, my leadership rival Sunak, he's against this. He's for the EU, you see. He's a secret Remainer. That's kind of thing she would be saying. Or she would argue he's not aggressive enough to deal with the EU. Sources close to Gove and Sunak deny they were trying to put a block on Truss's plans, but the levelling up scheme, what's left of it, the ruins of it, because it's a joke, it's Theresa May's scheme rebranded. That would be dead, because the cost of resources would go up so much. Kind of construction goods would go up dramatically. And obviously the cost of living, which inflation's at 10% now, or is around the 10% figure. You start a trade war with people, you see how high inflation goes at that point. The draft bill was initially understood to be intended to grant ministers the power in principle to override the treaty, but not necessarily used in practice. So what they'll do is they'll put, essentially it's like having a nuke but not using it. That's what they're kind of hinting at. But, the EU are going to see this as the first salvo, or not the first salvo, but as a salvo, because at the end of the day, you're putting the things in progress to do these, to take these actions. So I'm a bit rambly here, but point being is that just by doing this, the UK have put themselves as the aggressor. Even the Americans have said just mentioning Article 16 puts peace in Northern Ireland at risk. Just the mention of it, saying, we might trigger it. It's a joke. However, the Times reported on Tuesday that the bill would go further than expected and explicit scrap parts of the protocol, which I don't think will happen. Such a move is expected to provoke legal retaliation by the EU were it to go ahead, including the bloc potentially imposing tariffs. It will kill the TCA. That's what will happen. That's the first thing that will happen. After that, potential sanctions. Truss will argue that the election results in Northern Ireland give the negotiations a fresh sense of urgency, because the DUP have said they will boycott any participation in a new government at Stormont until it's resolved. And this is kind of an issue with Stormont, that if it's the case that a unionist party and a nationalist party have to both be there for Stormont to be fully operational, it shows that Stormont doesn't work. Because, fair play to Sinn Féin, they've been there. They are not the ones who've been collapsing Stormont over the past couple of years. It's predominantly been the DUP who have done this. I think it was over the Irish Language Act and some Brexit stuff a few years ago. And it's happened again. They constantly rage quit. Maybe the rules have to be changed, so maybe one of the less radical unionist parties can sit in and Stormont can be opened. And I would hope that they change the rules where if Stormont is closed, the party that closed Stormont, their MLAs won't get paid. I'm sure that'll get them back in quick. Sinn Féin, which won the most seats at Stormont for the first time, said Northern Ireland was becoming collateral damage in the dispute, and ironically, it's the Irish nationalists who look like they care more about the people of Northern Ireland than the so-called unionists. Really, isn't it? Because Sinn Féin, they spoke about reunification a bit, about certain things that need to be set up first, consultations, etc., but they haven't done a lot more than that. Whilst the DUP have made the union look really bad, in my opinion. Johnson spoke to Ireland's Taoiseach, Michael Martin, on Tuesday morning, said he underlined the grave situation in Northern Ireland and reiterated warnings about the protocol. According to the Times, Johnson's comments came after the Times revealed Johnson would move as soon as next week to scrap parts of the protocol in British law, and this an article come out today as well. I'll link all these below. This one might be paywalled. But the simple fact is, next week, right, we're at Tuesday, if the government don't go through their threats, the EU won't care. They'll be like, you're not going to do it, big man. You ain't got the facilities for that. Johnson, despite repeated efforts by the UK government over many months to fix the protocol, again, all you've done is put out things like the command paper, which are a joke. Absolute joke. It's the EU who are the ones who are trying to fix the protocol. Honestly, this is evidence of it. They would have had a trusted trader scheme put in place by now. It's the UK that unilaterally changed parts of the trusted trader scheme. How can you be trusted when you do stuff like this? It's the EU have made changes to their own laws around medicines, etc., so that medicines from GB can keep going in Northern Ireland. If anyone says, "Oh, how generous of them," if it was the case the UK wanted these things in the first place, they would have done so during negotiations. Where, as even Lord Frost admits, it's easier to get changes done during the negotiation period rather than after, once the treaty is negotiated and implemented. This person goes on to say the European Commission has not taken the necessary steps to help address the economic and political disruption on the ground, Number 10 said of the call, which is a joke. The Commission have done their best to fix aspects of the Northern Ireland Protocol as best they can do, within their mandate and within the remit of the protocol itself. About political disruption, it's the unionists that are causing it. You can't say, "Oh, we need to get rid of Stormont, rid of the Northern Ireland Protocol," as the unionists refuse to sit and take their places. That's on them. They don't believe in democracy. The majority of MLAs are tolerant of or support the protocol. That's it. If it goes to a consent vote, it will probably be kept in place. Like, come on, man. The Prime Minister reiterated that the UK government would take action to protect peace and stability in Northern Ireland if solutions could not be found, but you're the ones making it worse, because you're egging on these unionists. A UK government spokesperson said, "Our focus has been and will continue to be preserving peace and stability in Northern Ireland. You're the ones causing this by taking these sorts of actions." What happens if there's a trade war? Labour's Jenny Chapman, and again, even Labour are not good on this because her rhetoric is rubbish. You got Jenny Chapman saying this risks a trade war during a cost of living crisis. She said there's no consensus to scrap the protocol in Cabinet, let alone in Northern Ireland, which is true. But, she only talks about the trading partner, the trade aspect of this. She doesn't talk about the actual impact it's going to have on the people of Northern Ireland, the government's actions. She talks about, while tensions are high in Northern Ireland, families across the country face rising prices and higher bills. She's talking about this from the cost of living angle, which that's secondary to peace in Northern Ireland. Peace in Northern Ireland is more important than people facing rising bills, etc., because violence could easily erupt from this. That should be Labour's focus in Northern Ireland. They should be talking about how important stability is, how it was the Labour government that got the Good Friday Agreement done in the end. That's what they should be talking about, not talking about this from a cost of living angle. It doesn't make sense. Or a trade war perspective. There's some more I wanted to talk about, which is some analysis from John Campbell, who says, "It's important to say that we've been marched up this hill several times before. There was a point when Article 16 was going to be triggered virtually every week," which is true. I remember that. Good times. The UK government the British government is not planning to override the protocol according to the Queen's speech. Apparently they want to go through negotiations. This article is also from today, and they also pulled bits out that were meant to mention the Northern Ireland Protocol in the Queen's speech. I do get annoyed at some of these BBC journalists and other ones where they'll talk about certain aspects of the protocol without full context. They talk about Article 16. It's a provision within the protocol that could potentially see parts of the agreement suspended if the treaty is causing social, economic, or environmental difficulties, but they failed to actually explain it properly, which is it has to go through the joint committees. Where the Union or the United Kingdom is considering taking safeguard measures under Article 16 of the Protocol, it shall without delay notify the Union or the United Kingdom, as may be the case, through joint committee, and shall provide the relevant information. The Union and the United Kingdom shall immediately enter into consultations in the joint committee with a view of finding a commonly acceptable solution. The Union or the United Kingdom, as the case may be, may not take safeguard measures until 1 month has elapsed. And unless the consultation procedure under point 2 has been concluded before the expiration of the state limit. When exceptional circumstances requiring immediate action exclude prior examination, the Union or the United Kingdom, as the case may be, may apply forthwith with protection measures strictly necessary to remedy the situation. But if the government are arguing that we need to get rid of the protocol because of the DUP not sitting in Stormont, despite the fact that Stormont's been closed for months, I don't think they would be able to argue the bottom paragraph under point 3. Not a lawyer, but yeah, no, it's just I get frustrated when journalists fail to mention the basics, which is they'll mention the serious economic bit without the rest of the context. It's got to go through joint committee. But I've been angry for the last 15 minutes now, so I'm going to wrap it here. It looks like the government are saying next week they're going to do something. We've heard this before, but I think Liz Truss, she's going to get it done via law, right? I think she could put in a new bill or suspend parts of the kind of create a law which will give ministers new powers to suspend bits of the protocol without actually using them. They did kind of a similar thing with the UK internal market bill. What she's doing, this is purely for leadership, and in my opinion what she's doing is incredibly dangerous, because she's putting peace in Northern Ireland at risk just so she could be Prime Minister of this hellscape country. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. My highlighter tool is having an absolute meltdown today as well, which sums everything up. But yeah, like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. Some breaking news for the gang, and I'll see you next time.